Welcome to this week's edition of Flashback Friday, your opportunity to get some good review by listening to episodes from the past that Jason has handpicked to help you today in the present and propel you into the future. Enjoy.
Speakers, publishers, consultants, coaches, and info marketers unite. The Speaking of Wealth show is your roadmap to success and significance. Learn the latest tools, technologies, and tactics to get more bookings, sell more products, and attract more clients. If you're looking to increase your direct response sales, create a big-time personal brand, and become the go-to guru, the Speaking of Wealth show is for you. Here's your host, Jason Hartman.
Welcome to the Speaking of Wealth show. This is your host, Jason Hartman, where we discuss profit strategies for speakers, publishers, authors, consultants, coaches, info marketers, and just go over a whole bunch of exciting things that you can use to increase your business, to make your business more successful and more passive and more automated and more scalable. So we will be back with a great interview. Be sure to visit us at speakingofwealth.com. You can take advantage of our blog, subscribe to the RSS feed, and many other resources for free at speakingofwealth.com. And we will be back with a great interview for you in less than 60 seconds.
Here's your chance to catch up on all of those Creating Wealth shows that you've missed. There's a 3-book set with shows 1 through 60, all digital download. You save $94 by buying this 3-book set. Go ahead and get these advanced strategies for wealth creation. For more details, go to jasonhartman.com.
It's my pleasure to welcome Adam Swart to the show. He founded a company called Crowds on Demand, and you can file this one under the heading, I can't believe it really exists. And that's one of the great things about capitalism. Anything you can possibly imagine, someone is providing it. And Adam is a great example of that because his company does something very unique. They supply crowds. Adam, welcome. How are you?
Great. Thank you for having me on the show, Jason.
Well, it's good to have you. So every professional speaker wants their events to be full. They want them to be standing room only. They want to project a celebrity image. I guess that's what you do. I mean, it's kind of a funny thing. I kind of can't believe there's a company that actually does this. But how long ago was it founded? Just last year, right? Just 2012?
Yep, just over a year ago. It's
where do you get the idea?
Well, actually, I was on vacation in Estonia, and I was getting off an airplane, and I saw this guy. He was being welcomed with, greeted in an SUV on the tarmac, getting paparazzi. People all seemed to know who he was, but I had no idea who he was. And I got to thinking, couldn't that have been me if I had had that those same entrappings of fame and wealth that this guy had? I could also be a celebrity and everyone would view me as such. So I got to thinking, can't we make fame into a business? Can't we make that type of celebrity into a business? Can't we make ordinary people or people who are trying to help their brand, their personal brands, become a celebrity very quickly?
Yeah, well, that's interesting. So, I'm sure you've heard some criticism here and there, and the one that comes to my mind is, isn't this kind of disingenuous? I mean, I bet Hollywood people, though, on second thought, use this kind of thing all the time. But have you had some people say, well, it's fake, right? I mean, what do you think?
Sure. I mean, of course, people, in any business, you're going to have people criticizing you for various reasons. But I think that what we provide is we provide a way for people to bring their brands front and center and to have people pay attention. Because what I would argue is that what we do is we get people to pay attention to your event, to your product. Nobody is saying they're going to love it, but ordinarily there are plenty of talented artists who we work with, talented fashion people, talented athletes, people who are talented across many disciplines who just never get noticed because nobody's really out there noticing them. But what we do is help people get noticed. So we're not tricking people. We're not being disingenuous. We're just getting people to notice.
Yeah. Well, I guess this is really no more disingenuous than seating the tip jar, which is a common trait. I
Oh,
was
of
I was at
course.
the coffee shop this morning, and the tip jar just had $1 in it. $1, and I'm sure that the clerk put that in there to start the ball rolling, and that's kind of what this does. It starts the ball rolling, right?
We like to say nothing draws a crowd like a crowd
Yeah.
because we've had events that started out with maybe 10, 15 of our crowd members, where somebody is speaking. I mean, we had this big rally in Hollywood a couple months ago, and it didn't start big. It started with, I want to say, a dozen of our guys out there sort of picketing, but people stopped and it grew to like a 200-person rally. And that's what, and because, but the cause was good. And that's what we do. I mean, we've done flash mobs. We did a flash mob in New York City for a convention that started with, I want to say, 100 people and nearly became like, feel like there were almost 1,000 people. Or when the press covered it, they said there were nearly 1,000 people. What we do is, and when we stack audiences in various speaking events, we start it with even a dozen people or maybe more, and more people come because once people respond to what other people are doing. People respond to other people, that credibility. And what we do is we get the ball rolling.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. So tell us about this flash mob one, for example. When you say a flash mob, what were they doing? Were they dancing? Like the flash mob videos I've seen, and by the way, there are positive and negative flash mobs. There are flash mobs that commit muggings and robberies. I'm sure that wasn't yours. But the ones I see, they'll just be like in a public place and they'll start dancing to a song and everybody will start dancing in the whole place. Is that
That's
what
what
you
we
do?
do.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that we do. We do anything where you require a lot of really trained, enthusiastic people to be there. Whether it's being in a room while you're speaking. I mean, we work with a lot of people who do public speaking. I mean, we've done a lot of press conferences, for example, other speaking events for executive coaches and life coaches and trainers, that sort of thing. We have people in the room, and they cheer for the person. And what happens is when they cheer for the person,
It's contagious.
it's contagious. Cheering, laughter, applause is contagious. When you see the whole room burst out into applause, you're going to think that this is something great. And that's what we do. So we really help people get noticed and help put a positive spin on a lot of events and a lot of speaking engagements.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Well, I'm sure everybody listening is dying to know how does it all work and how much does it all cost? What are your people tasked with doing? I mean, are they actors? Are they professional dancers in the flash mob example? Tell us more.
They're multi-talented actors. Some of them are dancers. Other of them are masters of improv. I mean, in fact, most of them are masters of improv because that's what we have to do in the various things. I mean, it's in a sense a bit like a skit, but I mean, they're highly trained actors. A lot of them have appeared on sitcoms, soap operas, other network TV shows. So they're really smart people who love to act, love to really get the word out about the things that we market and the people that we market. So it's a pretty diverse group of people, different ages, genders, ethnicities, but what really unites them is a lot of enthusiasm for what they do.
And so, I mean, how do you train these people? Do you have a casting call? I mean, you're located in Los Angeles, right? So you've got a lot of starving actors there.
Yeah, we have a lot of people in Los Angeles. We actually have people all over the country. I was even in rural Illinois and Colorado helping with a couple events just a few weeks ago. We've done New York, Vegas, Washington, D.C., etc. All over the country we're able to operate. But in L.A., our base is certainly one of the easiest places to find actors because there are thousands and thousands of enthusiastic actors who really love the work. And when they're trying to they're up and coming actors, so they really want to build their name and they want to make money, but they want to make money doing what it is that they love. And acting is what they love. So rather than working as a waiter or other things, they work for what, they work for Crowds on Demand. And They participate in flash mobs. They'll sit in on speeches. They'll do protests. They'll do publicity stunts, all kinds of publicity stunts. And it's a really fun job. They like it. And because they like it, that's why it's so effective in getting the client's message out there. I mean, I worked with a client several months ago. They were reluctant originally to get on board with it. They didn't get the concept, but they tried it, and the CEO told me a couple months later that their sales had actually increased by 500% after using just one of our events, which was crazy. And I always mention that because it just shows when you're unconventional and when you think outside the box in terms of marketing, it really is effective. It really is a way to help reach people.
Yeah, well, I would agree with you. So when I asked you before about how it works, right? So someone calls you and they say, hey, I'm having a seminar, for example, or some kind of an event or a party, whatever. And someone really needs to sort of, it's not exactly this, but sort of choreograph the event or the gig, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
How much training goes into it, or what kind of questions do you ask the client that help, and what do you tell your people to do?
Well, it's a really good question. We tend to get as much information as we can from the clients because we want to sculpt the event to be exactly what it is that they dream the event to be, and probably better. So what we do is, we choreograph the event well. We scope out the venue beforehand. We understand exactly what's happening. The actors are all there far in advance of the assignment, so they know exactly what it is that they're supposed to be doing. Most of my actors are veterans, so a lot of them have been with me for almost a year now. So they know they adapt to their roles. I mean, I have a guy who always plays the security guard. I have someone who plays the personal assistant. I have people who play rabid fans. I have people who are great sort of in the audience as enthusiastic audience members. Whatever it is, I have people who are cast to fill certain roles, and they do that really well. But we're always more than prepared for the event, and I like to say we have 100% client satisfaction. Everyone who's come has really been surprised by just how fantastic the event is. They couldn't even imagine that the event would be as successful as it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's very interesting. So how much does it cost?
It really varies. Our least expensive small events range from around $600, and while our most expensive events can go up to $10,000 or more. But I would say our average booking tends to be the $1,500 to $2,400 range. Those are sort of, we put in a lot of effort. Well, we put in a lot of effort to all of our events, but I think for those sorts of events, that's sort of, I think, where people have typically found they get the max amount of value for their money.
And so for $600, what does someone get for that?
Well, for example, say you're a public speaker. You could get you could have 3 paparazzi accompanying you throughout a conference or throughout a day. Meanwhile, you'd also have a security guard looking very official with an earpiece and a suit. So people would, if you're walking around, people would be like, wow, who is that? He must be, or she must be someone of great importance. This person is worth a second look. We also do it to make somebody a celebrity. When you're walking down in Times Square or Hollywood's Walk of Fame, and you're walking down like that, everybody is going to do a double take and see what it's like. So we've had our people basically mobbed by hundreds of people, even when they just have a few people around them, because it's like, wow, who is it? Is it Kobe Bryant? Is it George Clooney? I mean, who could it be? It could be anyone.
That's hilarious. I just can't believe it. That's great. Okay, so in that example of the $600 engagement, like the lowest engagement, so what about audience members? And how long is an engagement? What are they? Is it a few hours each time, or what?
Sure, yeah, that's a good question. So it really varies. I mean, when you want a lot of audience members, that can run up an additional cost, of course. Typically, our typical engagement is approximately 3 hours, though we've certainly done longer events. Our typical engagement is, for a speech, for a few hours night out on the town, this sort of thing. And typically, when we have our audience, I mean, when say you wanted a 20-person audience in there, that typically runs around a 20-person audience there for 3 hours. Typically, you're talking $1,500 But again, what I like to stress is we don't just plant bodies. These are enthusiastic people. I mean, they'll ask you good questions. If you want, they'll ask you questions that allow you to expand on your points. They'll say great things about you. They'll cheer for you. They are a very engaged group. So I like to say 10 of my guys are more effective than 100 bodies.
Right, and I would believe you because they're trained and they've got an actual plan. How far in advance does someone need to plan using your services? So if they call you and say, "Hey, they probably can't just call you and say, "Hey, I've got an event this weekend," right? They can. They can. Okay,
they can. We've done events with 2 hours notice.
Wow.
So certainly, if you're looking to have a 100-person event, more notice is certainly appreciated. But we've done very large events on relatively limited scale. I love it when people give me at least 4 to 5 days notice. But even then, we've done stuff with a couple hours notice. So we are very good. I mean, I have most of our guys' info on my own cell phone. So if I need to coordinate it myself, I can, if I don't have another coordinator there. So some people just plan things very out to the last minute, and that's fine. We work with them. But we, of course, also typically people will book a few weeks out.
Yeah, and excellent. Okay, anything else people should know about this?
I always stress that we're a very flexible company when it comes to trying new things and, more importantly, toward adapting to our clients' needs. So we're very good at finding what it is that people want and doing exactly that. We serve a really diverse group of clients: athletes, fashion people, actors, tourists, business people, executive coaches. But we work specifically to fine-tune our approach to each person individually. So it's really a very personalized approach. I like to say that as CEO, I'm very accessible to all of our clients. So a lot of them will call me up, and that's always fine.
Right. How many gigs have you done since you launched a year ago?
It's hard to say exactly, but I'd like to say near 100, but certainly dozens and dozens of events. And every event is really interesting, and I like to go to as many of them as I can, just because it's fascinating to see, and I just love seeing the look on people's faces, on our clients' faces, when they really are just overjoyed with seeing the product that we offer and getting a lot of benefit out of it.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, where can they find you, Adam?
Well, www.crowdsondemand.com is our website. You can give us a call whenever at 310-307-4995. My email is always open. It's adam@crowdsondemand.com. So shoot me an email with any questions, and I respond to all of them. So let me know if you're interested in booking an event or just interested in the company, interested in chatting. I always like to hear people's views, because I'm always hearing new great ideas.
Yeah, well, very interesting idea. This certainly is. Adam Swart, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me, Jason.
This show is produced by the Hartman Media Company, all rights reserved. For distribution or publication rights and media interviews, please visit www.hartmanmedia.com or email media@hartmanmedia.com. Nothing on this show should be considered specific personal or professional advice. Please consult an appropriate tax, legal, real estate, or business professional for individualized advice. Opinions of guests are their own, and the host is acting on behalf of Platinum Properties Investor Network, Inc. exclusively.
Welcome to Meet the Masters of Income Property Investing. I'm your host, Jason Hartman.
The 2019 Meet the Masters of Income Property, March 23rd and 24th in Newport Beach, California.
what is the sort of the one trick, the hack, the secret that really empowers people to success? Income property, the most historically proven asset class in the entire world.
Register today at jasonhartman.com/masters. Early bird pricing ends Friday, February 1st.
Let's break this down and look at some of the strengths of income property as an asset class.
I found that this event is really helpful because I'm totally a newbie to real estate investment, and so I picked up so much information.
One of the great things about it is that it's so fragmented, right? Embrace the fragmentation.
jasonhartman.com/masters.